So Lloyd, how can business leaders and managers create overperforming teams?
I'll tell you what, Dan. We're going to talk about this in this episode, surprisingly.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Overperforming teams are very important if you want to do good stuff. Yay! Good stuff. Good business terminology. But background to this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen in the title, Dan.
Yeah.
From underperformer to creating overperforming teams.
Oh, okay.
I'm the underperformer.
Is this like a This Is Your Life Lloyd special?
Yeah. I'm going to do like a bit at the start that's like X Factor, the sob story. When I was 7, I got really bad grades at school. And then my gran said, "You better turn your life around, Lloyd." I don't know why she was from up north.
Yeah.
Or Midlands or whatever that was.
So what's the background? Give us the sob story.
I was the sob story.
Can we put some sad music in the background of this? Go on, Callum.
I guess I was doing really well. And then when I was younger, school and my early work life, I guess I was an underperformer. This sounds a bit harsh on myself, but I just really wasn't bothered about showing anyone that I could do anything.
You were really good at making people laugh, though.
Yes, I was actually, yeah. Good at being class clown. Good at being in the friend zone. Well, that's a different story at school. But yeah, so it was the classic, you know, Dan, but at school, our parents were just like, Dan would obviously just get A's and stuff, even though he was like going to nightclubs when he was like 13 years old and stuff. But I wasn't getting those grades, and it was always at my thing. Oh, he's got so much potential.
Yeah.
And all this sort of stuff. And then even in my early work life, I think I wasn't really motivated to do much or perform at a high level. And then now, this is when the music starts on X Factor. Bit of Rick Waller. Something inside so strong.
Tell us, Lloyd. Oh. And now...
And then I'll turn things around.
Now he's a millionaire.
Yeah, not quite. One day. And now I manage a brilliant team of people that overperform, and our business outperforms traditional marketing results, and we're achieving these amazing things.
I mean, like, I know we're taking the piss, but it is actually quite a turnaround from class clown, just friend zone guy that never tried at school. I remember one time.
Friend zone guy. Hang on, that was not needed. Friend zone guy.
I remember at one point, Dad like tried bribing you with some quite significant amount of money if you got like A's and stuff, and you still weren't motivated to try.
Yeah. He was like, "So, Lloyd, GCSEs, if you get an A," I can't remember what it was, but every A you get.
It's quite a lot, I'm sure.
Like,
about the time for a kid.
I think because he knew I wasn't going to get, it was like A star, 150 quid per A star.
Yeah.
Like, if you think as a kid, I could have made, how many GCSEs, what we did, like 12 or something like that?
Yeah, you could have.
I could have been
a baller.
Absolute baller.
Yeah.
But obviously, I was like,
no.
It's all right. I make 12 quid a week for my paper round, mate. That'll be fine.
You preferred to break into the school in an evening and have a party in the sixth form lounge, or what's it called, sixth form block?
Common room. Yeah, I did. Is it long enough ago to admit that I broke into that type of party?
Yeah, and
sorry, Mrs. Clarkson.
And you did a milk drinking competition. I remember that.
No,
and everyone was being sick.
You always say this. Other people did a milk drinking competition, and it made me sick watching them.
Oh, yeah. And a chili eating thing? Was that another thing?
Yeah. I think, yeah.
And you used to gag whenever you walked past a bird poo.
I did, yeah. That was in my uni days. I was also sick one time when a bin lorry drove past because of the smell. Sick in the middle of the street in Canterbury. Anyway.
Sorry, we're going off tangent here.
This isn't This Is Your Life, Lloyd Knowlton, but just giving context. Yeah. Obviously now our team, we've got a team of overperformers, and I'm managing that team, pushing them in the right direction, trying to support them to do things. And we want to talk about how we are managing to get to the point where we have overperforming teams within Knowlton and all that kind of stuff.
So in terms of who this will be useful for, I'm interested in what you think. I think that this will be useful for founders, people who like manage any kind of teams or have anyone that they work with that they need to work well with.
And that could be you. Search for the hero inside yourself. That's another good song I do with that. Yeah. Basically, anyone leading or managing a team, we're going to help, hopefully. This really is one of those. We'd be good at putting an X Factor episode together.
So right, getting into good business practical stuff. Yeah. So you went from underperformer to managing a team that's now smashing it.
Yeah.
Obviously, along that journey, you've made lots of mistakes. You've learned lots of things. Mm-hmm. Give us the good advice that you've learned, or the lessons you've learned, or things people can do who are looking to improve managing their team.
First thing I want to discuss, which I think is a bit of a counter argument to how I think most businesses that are trying to drive forward act, and that is that more time doesn't mean better. Our team, so we rarely have anyone in our office beyond 5:15, other than sometimes me and you, Dan. Mm-hmm. And if there's a shoot on, I've noticed Tay stays late sometimes. But overall, the culture of our business is that people aren't staying late and aren't every day coming in really early and feel like they have to put loads of extra hours in. And I really think that helps teams to overperform.
How?
I think we encourage them to work more efficiently and in better ways so that they don't have to put more time in. I think in previous workplaces I've been to and speaking to other agencies and stuff, a lot of people don't improve the way they work and therefore try and reach their targets and what they're aiming for by just putting more time in, which I don't think
not sustainable
is a sustainable way to have an overperforming business or team. You can have an overperforming business that way, but you're going to have loads of churn of staff. Like people are going to work crazy hours for you for 6 months to 2 years and then be like, oh God, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's, for a leader or a manager, I think it's a lazy way to work to think, okay, we've got to do these things. So guys, we're just going to have to put the time in. I think that is, although it seems like it's not lazy as a manager, because you're like, I've got my team to, look, God, they stayed till 9:30 last night. And the night before, they stayed till midnight to get this done. And you think like, oh, we're really working. But I think it's a lazy way to manage a team. And it's not the most effective way to make sure that you're overperforming as a team and a business.
I think something you've been brilliant at, which I look at and aiming for, is building a team around you of really high skilled people who you can delegate work to rather than you trying to do it all. Like we've spoken about before, traditionally I've historically tried to just do everything myself and it hasn't been useful, but you've been really good at hiring really good people and then supporting them to really improve their skills. And then when something comes in that you would normally do, you can delegate to them and then you have the more free time than you would have if you were just trying to do everything.
I also think as a leader in business, the more you do that, the more you realize how much better it is. Obviously, like from a personal point of view, having people around you that are good at what they do and you can rely on is such a nice place to be leading a team of people.
Yeah.
When I didn't have that, and there's always not always, but there's been times where I haven't felt like that, and it's just more stressful. If you've put the work in to build people up around you and make sure you've got people in the team that you've delegated things to and made sure that you've trained them up to feel comfortable with what they're doing, and okay, right, like for example, I'm on holiday next week. I'm going skiing.
You are,
but I feel comfortable that our team are brilliant and I know that they've got the skills and the knowledge and the motivation to pick up things that I'd normally be doing, and that's such a great feeling as someone leading a team.
There's lots of small businesses that aren't in that position. I feel like a lot of smaller businesses that business owners that I speak to, it's like if they go on holiday, like they have to be available on the phone and they have to be checking stuff. And
we've had multiple clients over the years speak to us, like other businesses, and when we met people networking things and stuff, literally making comments and jokes like, well, of course, as a business owner, you can't have a holiday, can you? And sometimes they're joking like, no, I had 3 days 6 years ago in York. But sometimes they're genuinely like, oh yeah, like I can't have any days off. Yeah. And it's not a joke. It's like, I physically can't have a full day off ever. Yeah. And I I suppose it was harsh when I said it's a lazy way to manage the team, but like I think that's because the work hasn't been done that needs to be done to ensure that it's not all on you.
Yeah.
It shouldn't all be on you at all times.
Yeah, definitely.
And I understand you've got the Elon Musks of the world where it's like, no, it is all on me and I'm never going to sleep and see my family and I'm going to change the world. But most, let's be honest, most of our businesses aren't changing the world in huge ways. I reckon you'll still sell that A4 paper if you're not involved for a week.
Yeah.
No offense to people that sell A4 paper.
So I guess from anyone listening who is in that position that we're talking about, you shouldn't be in, where you're managing everything and you're making everyone work extra hours to get things done. What's the steps they should take to get out of that? Because I get that it's important.
Analysing where the time's spent, analysing what people are spending too much time on and what's taking more time, and then sitting down for an hour each week until it's sorted and saying, okay, Janet had to stay for 6 hours to design that pitch. Why don't we have the resource to design pitches? Or, we can outsource to another person. It costs us £75 to get a pitch designed until we can hire someone.
Janet doesn't have to stay for 6 hours.
Janet doesn't have to stay for 6 hours. We're paying far more than £75 for that overtime.
Makes sense.
So it really is just analysing what the time's been spent on, and any way you can thinking, how can we improve this? What's a better way of doing this? Because it's not sustainable for a business to just have people working 80 hours constantly. No. So you need to find a solution to all of those things.
That's a brilliant first piece of advice, Lloyd. What else have you got for us?
Well, much worse ones to come, Dan.
Okay.
no, hopefully they're good. Second one is creating a culture of comfort, which kind of sounds rubbish, but I don't mean as in everyone just be comfortable. No one has to do anything challenging. I mean creating a culture where people feel comfortable to give their opinion, say what they feel, come out with ideas, critique and give critical feedback to each other.
I like that.
This is something that recently we're really getting to a good level with our team. And there can be, we've really been on a journey and we can still get better. But I think in a lot of businesses and teams, there's not that feeling of, I feel comfortable that no one's either going to judge me, take the piss out of me, or in my appraisal say you're not up for the promotion because you said this rubbish idea. You know, there's people are worried that that coming out with stuff is going to have a negative effect. I think if you can make everyone feel like it's a really comfortable space, you're going to get the maximum amount of ideas and constructive criticism within the team and continue to improve. One of our core values is strive to be the best and look for improvements in everything. I think it's really hard to look for improvements in everything and try and do the best job you can as a team if you don't feel comfortable giving and receiving feedback. And without that culture of comfort within the team, it's really hard to get to that point.
I think that is a challenging area that I've found challenging. I think it's taken me a number of years to get to a better position, but where it makes you feel a bit crap if you've spent hours doing something and then it feels like everyone's sort of coming down on it and giving all this feedback, and it's like, oh, I'm rubbish. But really, when you understand that that's all delivered to you for a better outcome, then you start to think, oh, this is actually helpful. And I think it's also the way it's delivered as well, like delivering that feedback in a way that isn't like, you mucked this up, you didn't do that. It's more like, that was good, but why don't we try this? And
it's all part of the process for improving anything and doing a better job with anything. I think if in your teams often things are delivered and everyone goes, oh yeah, that's good, I think people aren't working hard enough to find ways to improve, because most of the stuff our teams do is at a good level, and we could go, oh yeah, great, oh yeah, that idea is quite good, but asking those questions and critiquing is how we outperform our competitors and get better results for our clients and that kind of thing.
I think a number of years ago, we did fall into that place where everyone was nodding along. Yeah, that's good. Because I don't think we had built the culture where people are comfortable to give feedback. And now it's completely different. Yeah. Everyone is very open to...
If you have any personalities within your business that shut down or take the piss out of people's input, you need to
get rid of that.
With that very quick. Because that's really toxic and that will completely destroy that culture. If there's just one person in that team that people feel like, oh, I don't want to speak up about this because that person will take the piss out of me, or
You should nip it in the bud
or
there.
say that my idea is rubbish, or kind of disregard my input and thoughts. You've got to nip it in the bud, because that's really dangerous.
And I think the great thing is when you do build that culture with your core team, when new people come in, it's so clear that everyone's comfortable. And if a new person did come in and start taking the piss out of people, it would be so clear the reaction of everyone else. And I even feel like the rest of the team would say something. It wouldn't even have to be us.
Yeah.
Like when it gets to that point, which is a nice place to be.
Yeah. But yeah, massive. If you want to have a team of overperformers, they have to feel comfortable to come out with shit ideas.
Yeah.
And people to and it to be part of the process, and know that they're not going to have that negative feeling of, oh, they're just taking the mick at me or said I'm rubbish.
Yeah.
Because you've got to come out with those rubbish things and the good things, and you need to put it all in the melting pot and have those discussions.
Nice. That was another good one, Lloyd. They haven't got shitter. That was another good one.
Maybe they'll continue to improve.
Yeah. What's the next one? What other advice you got for us?
Next one is allowing underperformers to improve or leave.
Okay.
And this is something I've really struggled with in my career so far.
Okay,
leading
go on.
teams. So I've been on a real journey with this. I used to think that if people are underperforming and you go down the path of kind of like, okay, I'm going to support you to improve. If you don't, you need to leave.
Bugger off.
You shouldn't have this job anymore. I used to think that was what really harsh, like heartless business people did, and it's a shit way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I've completely changed my mind over the last few years working through this.
Tell us more.
Well, the reason I thought I was like, you can't sort of say to someone, oh, this isn't good enough, you got to improve or leave. And now I've realized it's not fair on the people. If someone isn't doing a good job, whether it's because they're not bothered and motivated, so they can't be asked to do a good job,
Or they're just not good enough.
They're not good enough, and actually maybe in a few years they'll be at the point in their career where they're good enough to do that role, but they're not now. It's really not fair on the rest of the team and the people working with them to allow that to continue. Whereas previously I was like, oh no, that's out of order. And actually I've realized it's much less fair to your teams to let an underperformer continue to underperform for a long period of time. And I think a caveat here is, this isn't me saying that I'm one of those people that's like, if you're not good enough, you're fired.
All right, Alan Sugar.
Yeah. For the listeners, I did the pointing. That's not the thing. So caveat is 100% if people are underperforming, you have to give them the support and time to improve. That is the number one priority. If there's anyone underperforming in your teams, you support them and ask them, what do you feel you need to get to this point that's the level that you should be working at? Or are there any barriers there? So asking them those questions, and also they may not know, and it may be down to you to work that out as well, and having a look at the situation. And only if they are deciding to not put that work in to improve, or they're not able to, then it goes down the negative route of, okay, it kind of seems like this isn't the role for you, and how you manage that process. And that's a whole other HR recruitment kind of discussion to have. But yeah, I really now have the mindset it's not fair to let underperformers continue to underperform in a long period of time.
I think the key point from what you've just said is that thing of actually giving underperformers the support to improve. I think the most stressful situation that I've been in my career is when there's certain expectations I should be meeting in my role, but I don't have the knowledge, experience or support to deliver those expectations, and then you're never delivering them, and then it's completely stressful when you completely fail, like I did in my previous job at Enterprise. So I think that is a really important point. If there's someone who seems to be underperforming, don't just discount them and be like, oh no, right, off you go. Actually try and help them and sit and have a meeting and like, right, you're underperforming. Let's look at ways we can support you. See how that goes. And then if they're still underperforming after a while.
Without naming names, within Knowlton, like we've got people here that I see as our highest in our highest performers at Knowlton, that previously I've had discussions with about, oh, this isn't good enough and we need to improve.
Are you talking about me now? Or?
No, you're still underperforming. I can't do much about getting rid of you, or helping to perform. But yeah, so it's practically like I've had these conversations and gone through these processes, and we've had both outcomes at Knowlton in our growth. We've had people that have massively stepped up, and now I'd be devastated if they weren't part of our team because they're such high performers that I've had that conversation with, and we've had people that haven't wanted to put the effort in and have chosen to move on, and both of those are fine. Yeah. By the way, like this is all
both outcomes are good.
Yeah.
Good people stay. I'm not saying good people. I mean like good performers stay that are the right good fit.
Yeah.
And people that are underperforming that aren't a good fit leave because they're never achieving what they should be, and it doesn't feel very nice, and then they're not going to want to stick around.
And that's okay. But I think the reason this is so important, so going away from the nice emotional feelings of doing the right thing and all that kind of thing and helping people grow, the reason, with a business hat on, the reason that this is so important is if you want to have a business that's outperforming your competitors and you've got a team of overperformers, you want average and below average performers to move on to those average businesses that are your competitors. That has to happen for you to continue to have an overperforming team. The low performers need to move on or improve, and then you'll continue to build this team or these teams of high achievers and overperformers, and then there's loads of businesses out there that are happy to be average, and those people will either get on fine in those businesses, or they'll grow in other businesses over time, and they just need more time and a different scenario.
So going a bit deep on this point, because I reckon this is really important. I reckon there's anchors listening who are thinking, oh shit, there's Susan or Dave from the team who is in that underperforming place. I'm listening to the advice Lloyd's giving. We should really try and help them, or they need to leave. What should I do as a first step? What is the step to support them or realise they're not good enough? Do you know what I mean?
So if you've got Sue and Dave in your mind, or Sue or Dave, weirdly, I think there are grandma's friends, Sue and Dave.
They are.
And they are underperformers. No, I don't remember who they are. If you're thinking about that, I think the first stage is you have to have a consistent process set up where you know you are supporting people to perform, and you're having those conversations.
You can't instantly just be like, right,
no, like you're not doing well enough if that's happening, and you haven't got these so you need to act now. I think you need those consistent conversations. So whether that's a quarterly appraisal or like a monthly chat with all of these people in your team where you're catching up, and you make sure you're really clearly outlining, this is what is expected, this is what you're responsible for, and asking those. So do you have any doubts or any worries about how you would achieve those things? And after a couple of months, if people are saying, yes, I can achieve those things, no worries, no challenges, and they're not, then you're obviously in a position to say, okay, right, we really, and I know there's some HR things that I don't think we've ever had to use or anything, but people can go on those like performance improvement plans and things. I haven't used that kind of thing and don't know enough about those, so I'm not going to talk about them. But I guess in some larger businesses or different businesses, it may be that has to happen. And I think some businesses think of those performance improvement plans as a way to get rid of people.
Yes.
I think that's the toxic thing. I think you don't want to be doing it going, well, to get rid of this person, we've
put
got to put them on this and see them fail this.
That's horrible, isn't it?
Any anchors listening, I want, if you're going to put people on like a performance improvement plan, I want you to set them up for success and feel like I've done everything,
give them everything they need,
to improve. That's what that's for. It's not a way to sack them. You should be thinking, I want them to improve, and if they make the choice not to, or they're unable to, then fair enough, it might go that negative way. But don't think of it as this is how we get rid of people. That's rubbish.
Cool. Another really good one, Lloyd.
Thanks.
What else? What other advice have you got for our lovely anchors?
Genuinely strive for the best for everyone in your team.
In what way?
I suppose this goes back to what we were just talking about. Like, if you genuinely want the best for everyone, you're going to be doing everything you can to support those people in your team to improve and do the things that people need to do to achieve their best. I think if you're just looking for an easy ride and you can't be asked to support people, your team aren't going to be over. You can't just step back and be like, hopefully they do a good job.
Yeah.
Like, you need to make sure you're supporting them to be the best they can, and you want them to be.
Devil's advocate.
Yep.
So when Elon Musk fired half of the Twitter employees, to make things more efficient, he's one of the most successful business people in the world. Yeah. So surely what you're saying is wrong, because he didn't give a shit about them.
I suppose a business of that scale, he wants the best. Well, this is an argument about Elon Musk. I think he wants the best for everyone in the world. And having less people working at Twitter was a route to that. Yeah.
And also, I guess it's what your kind of values are as well.
Yeah.
He probably sees the bigger picture of doing that will help the world, him get more money, which will help the world by traveling to Mars.
Like, I guess what I'm talking about is, like, no one in our business right now will be in the same position earning a similar amount in 5 years, because we want everyone to achieve the best they can. And there's no way that with all the great things we have in place and the way we work and the skills and personalities of the people we have at Knowlton, there's no way they won't progress and be doing bigger and better things, because we want the best for them, they want the best for them, and we're going to make sure that that environment's there.
I think that's what makes me more excited than ever about running our business, is we now do have the processes to really reward people who make an effort and do well, and have the processes for people to leave of their own accord if they're not doing that. Yeah. And I think if you're listening and you haven't got those processes set up, that's a really important action to take, because it will help you achieve your goal sooner.
Yeah. My next point then.
Yeah, go on.
Is something what I really don't think we did well for a long time.
Go on.
So, just being honest, guys, it's making people accountable for things. Sounds simple, doesn't it?
Yeah. We never used to have any process set up. If someone would say they do something, to check it was done. Like, is it in a really simple way?
If there's, it's I guess I'll describe it as like grey area. So if there's anything in your business where you don't know, or people don't know exactly who's responsible for it, or there's no way of checking that people have actually done things that they've said they're going to do. It's all these grey areas where things slip through the gaps. Like, oh, why wasn't it good enough for this customer? Oh, well, I didn't know if Tim was packaging it or I was, so I just sent it without packaging. And it's those weird things where things get missed. Yeah. And now, just as a practical thing, guys, if you're thinking, okay, we have those kind of things where it's like, who was supposed to do that? Oh, that hasn't been done. Oh, Julie said she'd do that and hasn't. We have our weekly meeting, which basically means nothing goes longer than a week without someone being held to account for it. So, and we set actions in that meeting. If we feel, so say something's, there's a grey area. What's happened there? We'll discuss that. There'll be a section in the meeting to discuss that. Okay. Action. Right. Timmy is responsible for that and is going to do that by next week. Yep. And then next week, everyone will say, not everyone, that sounds like a weird chant or something. But
Did you do it?
The leader of the meeting will say, Timmy, have you done that action? And obviously, if you're someone that keeps saying you haven't done your actions that are really important, that's when you know you've got a problem with a person. Yeah. But we're held to account, and one of our core values is do what you say. And since we've incorporated that, I feel it's really changed things as well. Just the culture of, we don't say we're going to do something and then not do it, because that's just rubbish. We had a situation where, how much can I say?
Don't give too much detail.
Okay, well, when we started our weekly meetings
years ago,
there was years ago, with no one that you would ever know, someone kept just saying, "Oh, I don't know," or "Yeah, I don't know if that's been done." And I guess if you ask the questions to hold people to account and get consistent answers of like, "I don't know" or "No," then it's kind of like, there's definitely an issue here.
Yeah. Can you find out if you've done it?
Oh, this team of people, or this person, or these people, we thought were doing a great job, but when we ask if they've done anything, they don't know. Yeah. And it's just such a simple thing, but holding people to account, being like, you're responsible for that, you're responsible for that, and we're going to check.
I also think the other thing, the caveat to this is, you've also got to set realistic actions as well that are like, I feel like our team, if we said, oh, Timmy, this needs to be done by next week, can you do that? If their calendar was jam-packed full of work and they couldn't do it, then they say they couldn't do it, and then we'd have a discussion as to what, like, how can we make this happen, rather than just saying, yes, I can do it, and then knowing that there's no time to do it.
And that's that culture of comfort that you need as well.
Yes.
So if I say I'm leading a weekly meeting and I say, Timmy, okay, that hasn't been done, so action, Timmy, by next week you need to do that. Timmy needs to feel comfortable if he's at full capacity and is working hard on other things and knows he won't have time, that he says, oh, Lloyd, I really think that's going to be a challenge. Because
Timmy's voice didn't sound like that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Lloyd, I really don't think that's realistic expectations, because I haven't got enough time because I'm working on that project.
Right, yeah.
And then say, oh, yeah, okay, that's completely reasonable, Timmy. Right. Can someone else take this action?
Yes.
Or can we set this action for 2 weeks' time for you, Timmy?
Yeah.
And so you have the conversation. Everyone feels comfortable. But by the end of it, there's an action for someone that has the time and the skills to do whatever needs to be done, and they're held to account for that. Yeah. It's just so simple. And obviously a lot of people leading teams are probably thinking, well, of course you need to make it clear who's responsible. But I think you'd be surprised how often this isn't a thing. And even if you think it's sorted, your teams are kind of like, oh yeah, so who needs to do that? Is it me or you or Timmy?
Oh, it's me.
We also kind of learnt this simple tip, but there's lots more to it, from the Entrepreneur's Operating System. There's a really good book called What the Heck is EOS that I recommend getting. And this, having a weekly meeting structured in a certain way, is part of ensuring people are made accountable. We also did a podcast episode on this, if you look back through our podcasts.
And we're not actually as structured as it kind of lays out in that book. But I think in those meetings, there's literally a section where if someone is supposed to have done something or said they will and haven't, there's a process of, so like Sue would say to Timmy in that section, oh, Timmy, I think we need to discuss as a group this thing because it hasn't been done. So we need to understand what challenges there are that we need to overcome to get that done. So it's like creating that space where you can have those discussions and make sure you overcome those issues rather than it just being an ongoing thing.
And I also think the good thing for the business is, even myself and Lloyd included, no one wants to come to that meeting in front of everyone, and when it gets to your thing that you're supposed to have done, say, I haven't done it, I don't know why I haven't done it. So it encourages people to actually do what they're saying they're going to do.
Next one, fluffy one. Ready?
Give people hugs.
Positive vibes.
Oh, wow.
No, honestly, this is going to be, there's detail behind it.
Yeah, go on.
And I'll give an example in our business so you understand what I mean by this. So we now sort of try and shout about great performance and things that people do well. And we so much that we've actually created it sounds fluffy, but honestly, it's really nice, a gratitude box that people basically use to write notes to thank people or give people a shout out for stuff that they've done.
Anonymous
really well.
notes.
Anonymous notes. And then in our weekly meeting, and this might be your weekly team meeting you have or whatever you do, whether you have a team of 50 or 3 people, then they're read out, and it's just quite often it's, oh, well done, Timmy, you've smashed that project. Oh, thanks, Sue, you really supported me on this and it wasn't part of your job, so really appreciate that. Oh, team whatever, you did really good and really helped me achieve this thing. Thank you.
Or like last week, our marketing manager saying how brilliant I am at managing her and supporting her.
Yes. Yeah, Dan got one note, so he was very proud of that one. But yeah, that was a thing. And these things might sound fluffy, but it all helps to build that culture where everyone feels comfortable to, I suppose you feel more comfortable critiquing each other. And when things haven't gone as well, if you know that, last week, Timmy really thanked me and said I did a great job on that. So I feel a bit more comfortable than if he was constantly like, you're shit. Yeah. You're doing this badly. And it's just a really nice, it's a lovely thing to do. And you all feel nice and happy. And really, as people, we don't say thank you enough. And we don't, you feel like, oh, that was good that they helped me with that. Yeah. But a lot of people don't actually say it. And it feels great when you say it to each other.
It does. Totally agree with that.
And yeah, I just really think if you want to have the highest performing teams, you need people to be feeling happy and supported and grateful like that. And it gets overlooked by nearly all teams.
It makes a huge difference in people. You can tell people actually don't hate coming to work.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
What else you got for us? Anything else?
I've got a final point, Dan.
Go on, give us your final
really
point.
simple one. And something I've experienced the negative side of it not happening in the past. Give people the support they need to be high performers.
By doing what?
Loads of stuff. Shall I give you some details?
Yeah, go on. That was very generic.
Quite often business leaders have high expectations, but when it comes to their teams then saying, okay, right, you, for example, let's give an example for us. I'll give an example for using Tay, who's behind the camera.
Okay.
It's sort of thing that normally happens within our business. I'll give feedback on a certain scene that's been shot, and I'll say, oh, that looks really cool. There's the look of that shot. Do you think that could be better because of this, this, and this? And then Tay might say to me, yeah, I think it could be better. I think we need to spend £600 on this lens, and I would need 3 hours to practice how I use that in that kind of shot. And then I think it could be better. And if you're the sort of leader that doesn't give them the support, you go,
no,
just make it better, mate. Like this is simplifying it, but I saw this in previous jobs where people asked to improve, and then the really good people are being asked to do it would say, great, yeah, I found a way we can do that. Yeah. We need this, this, and this. And they go, no, just do it. And it's like, this doesn't make sense at all. And that's, I know I've really simplified the example.
No, that makes sense.
But obviously, if that's the case, you want to achieve this thing's like, okay, so it's going to cost this, and you're going to need that time to improve this thing or practice this thing or do some training or speak with the team and discuss it. It's like, okay, let's make sure we can support you to have that time and that resource because we want that improvement.
And I don't think it's always just about spending money to solve problems.
No, definitely not.
I think the important part I got from that is the time piece as well.
Yeah.
One of your team may say, yes, I can improve this process I'm doing, but I need X amount of hours to do some learning online and figure out this new way of doing it. Then I can apply that. Yeah. I think that's another way
we're making improvements to our post-production department at the moment. So the non-video people, editing and color grading and all that once you've shot stuff. And our post-production manager said, right, really want to improve these things, and said, I think I'm going to need like probably a week in this month, like carved out to improve all these processes.
Makes sense.
And to me, that's someone saying, I want to improve things and make this business better. I need 5 days. Yeah. Like, it'd be crazy to go, well, no, you need to be delivering that project. Yeah. Or it might be that there's a time thing and you might have to say, God, okay, that's going to be really challenging in February. Let's mark out a week in March, or let's spread those days over the next 8 weeks to make sure it gets done. I'd say that's reasonable. But if you're like, come on, no, you need to get it done. Anyway, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're never going to have a high-performing team because you're asking for them to achieve things they don't have the time or resources to do. And you're just expecting a magic outcome, which is completely unreasonable and unrealistic.
That makes complete sense. So be prepared to give them the support, the time, the resource, the energy.
I think really be self-critical as a business leader here. I think there'll be a lot of you listening that may have asked for things that if you really reflect, you might think, oh, that seems a bit unreasonable. Like I've felt this as well, looking back, and I've thought, oh, I was kind of asking that person to do this thing, but they didn't have the time, or I didn't offer them training to be able to do that better. I just kind of said that needs to be improved. And I think really try and be critical and think if you are doing that, have a conversation, say, oh, I know I've been asking you to improve this, this, and this. Like, do you need anything to enable you to do a really good job there? Yeah. And it might be something really simple. Yeah. They might say, yeah, I just need you to talk through this with me for 10 minutes because I don't understand it. And then it's like, well, hey, problem solved. Yeah. Great business. Millions in the bank. Nice. Overnight.
Love This Is Your Life episode, Lloyd. This has been good. I feel like the emotive music needs to come back now.
What was the song?
And Lloyd went on to achieve great things.
I never know lyrics to songs.
No, I can tell.
What was the other? Oh yeah, the search for a hero inside yourself.
Have you ever seen? It's quite awkward when on X Factor when if someone has a sob story and then they're really rubbish.
Yeah,
They don't tend to show
almost
those
like this podcast episode.
Yeah.
I started off really rubbish and then I delivered a rubbish podcast episode.
Yeah. Oh, that was really good, Lloyd. Genuinely, I think that's going to be really useful to the anchors. So,
Okay, thank you. Hopefully,
thanks.
I don't think we've really done much about like supporting teams to do better and perform higher. So hopefully it's useful for you to have a team you're managing and want to do the best you can.
Before we end, can I share something really cool with you?
I'd be an idiot to say no.
It's just, I want to mention our podcast sponsors, Adobe Express.
Okay.
Thank you for sponsoring the podcast. There's something really cool that I've discovered where you can utilize ChatGPT and Adobe Express to create some really great content that overperforms other content. And it's like a bit of a hack, and I want to share it with the anchors.
Okay. I'm genuinely interested. Normally I pretend to be.
Yeah. So,
this is good.
So, last episode we talked about scary AI tools that are completely changing the game, and one of them that we spoke a lot about was ChatGPT, which is a really cool tool, which is like Google on steroids. I mean, go and listen to that episode if you want some really practical ways that you can use ChatGPT. But something I've discovered and we've started testing is using ChatGPT to give us some information to create some content on Adobe Express in a certain way that works really well. So I don't know if you remember a while ago, we did an episode on LinkedIn algorithm hacks, and I spoke a lot about Richard van der Blom's 57-page LinkedIn algorithm report.
I remember Richard van der Blom. Yeah.
Yes. So if you haven't looked at that report, it's incredible. They analysed 10,000 posts over 3 months, and they've got lots of useful insights. One of the key insights was that LinkedIn document posts outperform normal text-based posts by like 2.2 to 3.4x. So you get 2.2 to 3.4 times the reach if you're posting a LinkedIn document post compared to a normal text-based post.
Okay.
So the way you can use ChatGPT and Adobe Express to create amazing document posts that will do really well. So something you can do with ChatGPT is ask it to summarize books for you.
Right.
So like you can type in, please summarize Seth Godin's book, Purple Cow, and in 10 bullet points, and giving you the key takeaways, and you can get really useful insights from these amazing marketing books. So something we've been testing is asking ChatGPT to summarize and give key takeaways from books that we've actually read that we love.
Yeah.
Then we've got those like 10 key bullet points and takeaways. We've then gone over to Adobe Express, where you can create beautiful social media content using their amazing templates. And you can create a LinkedIn document post where each of the slides that you're creating is one of those key takeaways.
Nice.
And you can use Adobe Express to create like a templated visual so that it's really efficient to keep reproducing this style of content. Because once you've created a template in there, you can then ask ChatGPT to summarize another marketing or business or accounting or whatever books you've got in your niche that your audience will be interested in. And then you can add a nice visual on the front of the book with a title like, here are 10 key takeaways from Seth Godin's Purple Cow that will help marketers get better results. And then you can create that in Adobe Express. And I've been doing that in combination with our marketing manager. So it's a really efficient process of me giving her 10 books that I've read, and then her using ChatGPT to then get the takeaways, to then put in Adobe Express and then post them on LinkedIn.
Nice.
And you'll notice on LinkedIn, if you use LinkedIn a lot, there's tons of people now posting LinkedIn document posts because they do just get more reach than other styles of posts. Does that make sense to you? Did I explain that well? I hope I explained that well.
I guess, guys, you need to act fast and get on Adobe Express and use ChatGPT to create these posts and make the most of it.
I mean, that's one example as well with books, but you could ask ChatGPT to give you, tips to do with social media marketing or SEO, or
you can even type, say you wrote a blog, you can like paste it in there and say, summarize this blog that you've written.
Yes.
And things like that.
So then that could have takeaways from that blog that you could repurpose your blog to a LinkedIn document post and drive traffic to the blog. Yeah.
Well, that genuinely was interesting, which is really surprising.
There's also, if you want to try Adobe Express, you can try it for free. There's a link in the description of this podcast. So give that a click and go and give it a try.
Nice.
Thanks Adobe Express for sponsoring the pod
Yeah.
and being a good tool.
Thank you. You've been a good tool as well, Dan.
Thank
on this
you.
episode.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, go and try Adobe Express, and we'll
See you in your ears next week.